All right, welcome back to our next webcast. We, of course, today are talking about the Persian Empire, and it might be a good idea to have out your Persian chart. And if you didn't get a chance to fill out the map today in class, you could pause this and certainly fill in any missing places that you have. For first and second hour, I didn't have you label the Royal Road, so you might want to do that as well. I think I had the other classes do that. So if you do that now, that'd be great, and we'll move on here. So here's another map of the Persian Empire, but this one is really showing us where their homeland was. So they're going to start right in here in modern-day Iran. But prior to that, they had migrated south. They were an Indo-European group that came from Central Asia, probably somewhere, up in here, or here, and they made their way down, okay, and settled here in modern-day Iran. Now, as far as the early Mesopotamian empires that we talked about in here, as you can see, Assyria, the Hittites we mentioned that came down here, and basically this whole Mesopotamian conflict that we talked about earlier in the class, the Persians are not involved in that at all. They're going to come into play a little bit later at the end of the Babylonian Empire, and we'll get to that here. Okay, so one of the things that develops in the Persian Empire is their religion. So on your chart you might fill this section in. The religion is known as Zorostrianism, and this religion is referred to as a dualistic, I'll write it out for you, dualistic religion. Basically, kind of what this means for them is that they believed in kind of good versus evil. Okay, and the figure that you see here, this guy here, but also he's depicted here and here, is Zarathustra, who is considered their god. But ultimately, this idea of good versus evil boils down to two major gods, Ahura and Ahriman, the first one was Ahura Mazda, which is the god of good and light, and then Ahriman is the god of dark and evil. Now, you don't need to know those names, but ultimately that's what the belief was. So as we talk about Cyrus the Great in the coming slide, we'll kind of gain our understanding of what he was going to do to spread this and to use this as motivation to conquer the world. Okay, so one of the things that's going to ensure the Persians' success as they begin to develop and spread are going to be two things. One, they've got a very strong military. Oop, ran out of space. So with that strong military, they could intimidate other people, which actually is going to help them when it comes to the way in which they approach people, because they're not going to just come in with their military ready to fight. They will always offer peace first, and if people refuse that, then they would use their military to fight them. So their other main point here with their early success and their spread is that they use tolerance and diplomacy. Ran out of space again. So tolerance and diplomacy is going to be what is going to really ensure their success, more so really than their military. I mean, yes, they have it, but they don't always need to use it. As they go into these foreign lands, they offer peace, and they encourage their king to remain king. They just have to continue to pay or pay tribute to the Persians throughout their Persian reign, and once the Persians take them over. Okay, so here we have Cyrus the Great. He is really their first powerful leader. He's the first person that we know of in world history that has this idea of conquering the world. And part of it is religious for him. He believes it is his religious duty to go out and defeat all of those kings and empires and other people that follow the dark or evil gods. So he was doing it for Zorostrianism, in that he thought that him and some others were gods of good and light, or at least followers of the good God. So it's sometime in the mid-500s, probably about 550 BC, he starts conquering his neighbors. One group are the Medes, and again, one of the things with the Persians is that they're going to be kind to those that they conquer. So once they conquer them, they're going to allow these people to practice their same religious beliefs, and kind of go about their way of life without much change, other than that they're going to have to pay tribute to Cyrus and provide military support for them. When they did conquer a city, they did not loot it, they did not burn it to the ground. That was just something the Persians didn't do, and that was also something that people enjoyed. I mean, granted, they don't enjoy being conquered, but at least their city's not being destroyed. They also are going to honor local customs. They're going to practice local customs to kind of make these conquered people, still feel pretty decent about themselves. But the one big thing that Cyrus is going to do is he's going to allow the Jews to return home. Now, if you remember back when we talked about the New Babylonians or the Chaldeans, they forced the Jews to move to Babylon. Cyrus comes in and liberates these people. So he believed, Cyrus did, that Yahweh, or God to Jews, was aligned with Ahura Mazda, the God of good and light. So he encourages the Jews to return to Jerusalem, rebuild their temple that had once been destroyed. And if you were to read about Cyrus in the Bible, he's written about with great praise. So this is another great thing about Cyrus. Now, another thing about Cyrus, too, is that he realized that some of these areas that he's conquering were actually more advanced than the Persians. So he's going to learn from them, and he's going to take what they've done and enhance it and make it their own. So this idea of cultural diffusion certainly continues, and really one of the only things that he required of these subjects was to swear obedience to these kings and pay high taxes and provide soldiers for the Persians. Now, after Cyrus dies, the next ruler is Cambyses. This guy is not so great. He goes on to conquer Egypt, also Arabia, parts of Arabia. But one of the things that he does in Egypt is he scorned their religion. Now, this was something different from what Cyrus had done, and this was not the Persian way. So the Egyptians obviously are very upset, and really they're going to revolt, especially once this guy dies. So the Persian Empire is kind of at a period where they're not exactly sure where they're going and what the future lies for them. But one of the things at this point, too, is you start to see the major decline of the Mesopotamian cities, and really a rise of the Persian cities. So Susa, Persepolis, another one, Ecbatana. These cities grow and develop into these large capital cities, and the emperors or kings of Persia are going to build them up. Okay, so as I said with Cambyses, after he dies, there's going to be a period of revolt in the Persian Empire. These areas that have been controlled by the Persians, they thought this was a good opportunity to fight back. But Darius the First is going to prove to be a much better leader than Cambyses, and he's going to put down these revolts and kind of reestablish the Persian Empire and really start to lead them into Afghanistan and India in the west, and then he's going to take the Persians as far west as Greece. Excuse me, I might have said east. I meant to say east in Afghanistan and India, and west in Greece, towards Greece. He's going to spread this empire to about 2,500 miles. So this is going to be the maximum size of the Persian Empire. So a big question then is, how will you control an empire this big? So this is an important aspect here, and let's look at the next slide. Okay, although this is not really showing you or explaining what it is, it is showing that people are going to be paying tribute and answering to King Darius, or Darius as he's also pronounced. But one of the things that's going to develop here is the provinces. There are going to be 20 provinces set up, okay, throughout. The people that are going to control these provinces or lead them are called satraps. Okay, and that's just the Persian word for governor. And these people are going to act, again, as ruler over these provinces. So it's a bureaucracy here that is taking shape. So very much like the Han dynasty that we talked about, as well as the Mauryan Empire. They're going to follow this bureaucratic style of leadership. Okay, within the satraps or within the provinces, you're going to have military leaders, as well as tax collectors. Okay, which is going to be the biggest thing again in the Persian Empire: provide military service as well as pay tribute. And what these satraps are going to do, what they're going to be, are the king's eyes and ears. Okay, so this depiction would be of one of them reporting to Darius and being, his eyes and ears throughout the empire. Now, one of the other great things about the Persian Empire was their ability to move throughout this large empire. This is going to help with governing them. So they can travel using the royal road, and you can kind of see it there on the map in the green. But this is about almost 1,700 miles of road. Along the way, there will be relay stations, about 111 of them, and they are going to kind of act as rest areas or areas that they can kind of load up on supplies and trade. But they also are going to have coins in this, throughout this. So they're going to have a money system with, standard value. Mostly gold and silver are going to be used here. Now, some of the things that they're going to be trading on the royal road are copper, lead, gold, silver, lapis lazuli, which is this like shiny blue rock type thing. And this is, going to be the basis of their economy too, getting the tribute from others, but also being able to trade throughout their empire. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is wrap this up by writing a summary sentence. Summary sentence. For tomorrow, I want you to come in and have a summary sentence written, ultimately explaining, what made the Persians unique and what made them similar to other Mesopotamian empires. So ultimately kind of wrap it up in one or two sentences that kind of gives you an overview of the whole Persian Empire, or at least what you've learned here today. We'll talk about the Persian Empire a little bit more tomorrow with any questions that you guys have, and then we'll move on to another part of the Mediterranean as we're going to kind of enter this classical Mediterranean world.